how's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Happydaze with us tonight. He can say his name and what he does in the band.
What's happening? I'm Luke, and I'm the singer in Happydaze.
There we go. Well, Luke, thank you for coming on. I know it's a late one in the UK time frame here, so I do appreciate you spending the time. Luke and I had a great comment on which we'll get into the history of the band, but I feel like I have to give this a special shout out. This band, check this out, Awful Truth, Woes. We'll obviously get into it a little bit later on, but I wanted to mention that was Luke's previous band, and I had absolutely been like enamored by that band, so much so I obviously picked the record up, and I was not gonna lie, I was very devastated that that band broke up, because I was like, they're gonna be the next big thing, I'm calling it. And usually I'm not too off on that, and I felt like that was the one like spot in my whole like picking of bands that didn't kind of land out, so I'm a little upset. But also at the same point,
it's just, yeah, it's life that gets in the way of that.
Life gets in the way, but it brought about a cool thing, which is Happydaze, and I'm glad you guys are back. Honestly, I think it's at the fault of Facebook, because I feel like as soon as I saw that, and Luke had been like, hey, this is my new project, we're gonna kind of like, you know, next gen it, like Gen 2 of like Woes, like I should have already hopped on that, you know?
I don't really think of it as that to an extent. Like, I think it was that at the beginning, like, you know, like when like, even still, like DJ and I still like jam songs. Like, obviously, as we were saying, life gets in the way, but like, you know, DJ's one of my best friends, like, of all time. Like, I love him.
Oh, that's
so,
great.
Like, I'm always going to be vibing with him. So like, yeah, like we wrote Go Wrong together. Like after the band broke up, and then we're like, but we're still going to write songs. And the first session that we got, like, we wrote Go Wrong, and it was just like, yeah, man, that's how we do it. Yeah, it was great.
It was so sick. But obviously, I have to ask Luke, like, we kind of talked a little bit off camera about, you know, how Happydaze formed, but what is kind of like the origin story of the band? Obviously, as I mentioned, he was previously in Woes, so go check that band out if you haven't already. Highly recommend, 10 out of 10. But how did that kind of formulate after kind of the closing out, or like the ending of Woes?
So it's like, you know, I think everybody goes through that period of where you're like you're in a band, and like, you know, everything feels as though it's like moving in the right direction.
Sure.
And it's like, this is what you're going to do. And I think it was just, you know, like, we've done some really, really cool things with that band. We've got some really, really cool memories, and like that's what it was about at that point. Like it was obviously, you know, it was for me anyway. I was lucky enough to be asked to join that band and then go and experience all these memories and not have to deal with the responsibilities of like the band. You know, you just get to go and play the songs and all that sort of stuff. But with this, it was like I felt as though like I'd written like a couple of little ideas when we came back off like a really long stint of touring, and then I was like, oh, you know, I'd quite like to sing on these songs. Like, it's been a while since I've sung, and like I used to play so much metal and all that. Like, the room for melody wasn't really there. So like getting to find that, and then just like try it out with a couple of different things. Like at first it was like, some of this sucks, but then I wrote the chorus for the first single that we had, What's It For? And I was just like, oh, there's something here. This is really, really cool. I wonder what I'll do. And I think it was like literally that night, it was just like, yeah, I'm leaving the band. And I was just like, oh, right, cool, right. The band's kind of like over now. Right, cool. And then I was like, well, I'm not done with music. I'm not done with the life that it gives me.
Sure.
It's like the experience of like, yeah, you know, it's difficult to like manage a job and get to do all these things where you want to go away for a long period of time. But like the sacrifice is so worth the reward, like getting to go away and travel and get to play shows and play music. And it's all centered around like the art, and like, you know, all comes from sitting and writing songs. And then you get to go out and do all this cool stuff. Like that's what we're doing it all for. So, you know, like big plans, rush as soon as the band was over to get something out. And then COVID hit, and we were like, right, what's the point? We can't play gigs, so we're not going to release anything. And then that happened for months, and then we're like, right, we need to release something. And because we self-produced, and we could do stuff with like all the cool plugins, like audio movers, where you can share the audio direct from like your computer, and like working with loads of cool people writing songs, and like mastering like our craft a little bit with like, what is the band going to be, what's it going to sound like, what's it going to look like, what are we going to stand for, all that sort of stuff. And then it's like, nobody else is releasing music, like everyone will be able to see it, so like, let's just put it out. And then we've done that. So it was it was just the natural progression from like wanting to write and create music and be in a band, and just continuing that on. And like everyone that I'm in the band with, I've known for years, and like been in bands with, or like played in bands with since I was like, 14.
That's awesome. And that's good to hear, because I feel like, for like, as I mentioned before, is cool to hear Woes as it was. And obviously I wish I could have recorded my reaction when I found out that Happydaze, you were a part of both bands, because I think for me, I was like, oh my God, now I can, like, not that I wouldn't have enjoyed the band before that, but I feel like I have that much more love for your band and what you're doing, because I went back and listened to What's It For, Bad Taste, Go Wrong, Missing Out, With You, and then the newest song, Cool Blue. And it's cool to see the progression of, like, each song as they released, because I'm very much a music nerd, and I love kind of analyzing some of the earlier stuff that was, like, right after the first band had initially stopped, and then kind of getting more into the newer stuff.
What ends up happening after,
what
totally.
ends up happening after. And I feel like the sound change has been, like, so fluid. And if you had not told me that you were, like, trying to work on singing because you were in that, like, in a metal project and then moved over to this, I wouldn't have believed you, because I think the vocals have gotten, like, so much more, like, impressive, and at least I really enjoyed them. I thought they were sick.
I really appreciate that. Like, it's it was interesting, because there's this point where, as like a Scottish singer, you have to decide, like, am I going to do the accent,
Yeah.
And like, I think it's like it helps it kind of translate. I guess it's almost like it's not quite as abrasive as the idea of, like, screaming over, like, a folk guitar, but it's like the two don't kind of go together. So when you're listening to, like, punk rock that you're used to hearing, like, a West Coast American accent on, it's like, it's just how people understand it, and they can vibe it a little bit more. You know what I mean? It's almost like in Woes, like, the guys used to describe it as, like, it's the character that you get into, like, in the stories.
Oh,
you tell as that character. You know what I mean? And I think that's definitely the case. And I think that even though it's like, it's still me, it's like, it was an interesting sort of period of, like, finding that voice, and you don't really even think about it now. So.
Oh, yeah. I feel like for me, I think that it makes it more appealing for me, because I, like, have listened to a ton of, like, pop punk bands, and I feel like if you have some sort of, like, an accent, or have some sort of way to, like, intertwine that into the music, I think it makes it more unique and more interesting to me. It's bands that I kind of, like, look out for, because I think they're not trying to do, like, okay, this is what pop punk sounds like, this is what it is. It's kind of similarly to, like, I know, like, people love Ben Barlow of Neck Deep, like, he's got a certain way of saying words where you're like, okay, it's just a little different, but I don't feel like it takes away from the music. I feel like it enhances it for me, because I'm like, oh, nice, that's like a nice little accent,
It's like musicals. It's like musicals, you know what I mean? Like, you don't sing a Metallica song or, like, a Green Day song the same way that you would sing, like, a show tune. Like, there's just like but, like, at the same time, you wouldn't sing, like, a Metallica song in the same way that you would sing, like, a Queen song. You know what I mean? Like, they've all got these characteristics to them, like, and, like,
it just separates you. I think it makes it makes it unique, and I especially loved going through the journey of listening to some of the older songs and then getting into more of the newer songs, and seeing how much, like, the production value has changed, and how much, like, you guys have put it into, like, the music videos as well. So I'll leave links for all of the music videos if I can in the description. But I went thoroughly combed through all of them, because I think I was more so just shocked, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna have Luke on. I have to go through, like, all of the sounds, all of the songs that were released, so I don't miss a beat, because I don't want this to happen to me again. So I was well on it.
I'm glad you like it, man. Like, it's hours and hours and hours of sitting and going through, like, there's, for every song, there's, like, 10 unused demos, or, like, unused ideas, or ideas that then would become that one song and stuff like that. So it's like, it's a really thorough process that we go through when we're, like, writing songs. And we're actually down in we're not at home at the moment. We're down in in Chesterfield recording some more music at the moment. Ooh. Even though we've got our like a bunch of songs ready to go. We've just got some more music, and we're just then getting it down. We self-produce. It's an interesting process right now because I haven't been recorded in this way before, and like the band hasn't been in this environment of where we go into a studio, we capture a moment, and when we leave, it's done. We're not going to touch it again. You know what I mean? And I think it's going to be interesting to hear how that sounds comparatively. Like, there's far less time went into this. It's far more just like feeling the flow of it. Like when we were actually writing the song, it only took like a couple of days. And like, but I think that's when a good one happens, you know, it just flows, it just happens. And by a couple of days, it's like the few hours that we end up spending at the end of the day when we all go down to the studio once we've done like our jobs and all that sort of stuff, you know, so.
I feel that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how this is turning out. It sounds cool. It's the same band by all means. It's the exact same sound that we're going with at the moment. We're kind of just like, I think we're on something at the moment that's worth capturing, so we may as well get to that vibe and keep it going.
Absolutely. And like I said, I'll leave a link to the latest songs as well as some of the older ones, because I feel like for me it's cool again to see just the progression of this band thus far, and like to miss out on like almost 2 years, like, you know, based off of YouTube. Obviously we could have been longer than that, but like going through,
that is 2 years,
yeah, going through the kind of the catalog and like listening through to all of it, because you know, I had listened, to be 100% honest, like I went and listened to Awful Truth probably about like 2 weeks ago, something like that, so it's fresh. And I was like, oh man, like I wonder if they're doing something. Like I had this like inkling as I was like driving home from work. I was like, I wonder if this band's still doing music. Like that would be really cool if they were still doing something. And then lo and behold, then I got the email from Tabitha over at Thriller. So big salutes. But I don't think I would have gone down the rabbit hole of like really looking and searching out for it, and then being delightfully surprised of, you know, the progress you guys are making. And then
I think I'm glad that you brought it up again, though, to be honest, because there was an ethos behind how we done everything in that project that was like, I learned a lot from being in that project and working like in those environments. Like For Awful Truth, the first couple of songs that we wrote for it were while we were on tour, or it was our first European tour.
Oh wow!
We had like just shy of a week off in Holland, and like, you know, we spent a week in a house just, you know, eating muffins and smoking and writing songs, you know. And we wrote Awful Truth and Fake Friends.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And then we had like a little bit of time in between, didn't really do a bit of writing, and then when we done Slam Dunk, we went and done like another like writing weekend in this like weird farm just outside of Wales. I think the place was actually called Mold. And we wrote Money Shoe, Fancy, and something. But yeah, like it was just, you know, it was like getting to go away and like do those like really intensive periods, and like it was like so thorough. And I really believe in like the power of 3 when you're songwriting. You always get like yes, no, yes, no. There's always a decision. There's never an argument, you know.
Oh no, 100%. But I will say all of these songs are all yes for me. Like that is the one album I can listen to front to back, and I'm like, it's got the hits, you know. And
and like that was the progression of that, like the exact what you were saying, like all those songs that you've went back and listened to from 2 years ago. That was where we were at, and like, you know, like where we were writing songs, and like the stories we're telling and all that with these songs. It was like that was what the start of Happydaze was, for sure. Like to a certain degree, but it was definitely me wanting to, like, you know, like find my own expression after like working and like trying to formulate other guys' visions and like push that more. Like that, like their influence is like undeniable, and the things that they made me listen to were the things that have now inspired me to like write this sort of stuff. But like I find myself like listening to less and less of this sort of music, and it's definitely more of the electronic side, because that's where the influence will come to be able to make it sound a little bit more unique. And you'll hear that in the newer songs that, like, you know, we got a new song coming out on the 24th of February. It's when I let Alex from the band Rome, we were on tour with them in September.
Nice, yeah.
I let him hear like the rough version of it. He was listening and he was like, I feel like I'm at a spa. And I was just like, I love that. I love that. So that's what you've got to look forward to listening on that one. But it's like, I think it's come a long way from just being like a pop punk band. And that's, it's not, there's nothing wrong with being a pop punk band. Like I love pop punk and like, that is what inspired it all. But there's just something else there now. And I think that's what, don't know what to call it.
It's unique. I will say it's 100% unique. And I'm glad that you guys are still doing it as well. I know I keep mentioning that, but it is the honest truth. Like, such a cool thing. And do you feel like, you know, people who are like, you know, diehard like Woes fans, did you find some of those people make it over to Happydaze? Like, very similarly to myself, where I was like, oh shit, like Happydaze.
It's been really cool for like, it's the feeling of like, you know, you've got to work really, really hard to get back into the position that you're in. I will be eternally grateful to Neck Deep for giving us that opportunity to go out and like play in front of all these people and just be like, this is a band who like, if you like this kind of music, you will like them.
Oh yeah.
And they put us in front of them all, and like so many people, it was just like this new experience of like discovery of like this band who like we are different. Like, we sound different than other bands who are going out there, and it was just like so sick to be able to just get that head start. And then every now and again, like standing at merch, someone would come up and be like, money shoe, you know, and then it definitely doesn't define like the whole thing. Like it's really funny that I think a lot of people when like, you know, like they're not in a band anymore and then like they go off to do something else, they're really scared of like losing that identity of, like, you know, that's what it was, and that's what defines me. And I think that, you know, it's just not the case.
Yeah,
not the case. It's like, it's not what defines you. It's what defines that unit of people together. And without being that unit of people together, going out and actively doing that, it's not you. And that's cool. You know, like, let it go, live your life.
No, I feel like it's, I think it's cool when, you know, obviously you never want to see a band break up, because I certainly don't, you know, but if they do get back together and they do different, or they break apart and they, you know, other members do different projects, I try to do my best to kind of keep up with what happens, you know, because I think for me, it's crazy to see like how different each member is in regards to whatever they do. And obviously I feel like Happydaze is a very cool, like, I wouldn't even say it's in the same lane, but I would say it's like kind of in a similar lane where it's like, okay, I could tell right away, like, it was like, okay, there was some things that I was listening to, I was like, this feels very Woes like, but I couldn't confirm it at the time. And I was like, if it is, that's the case, that's cool, but it doesn't feel like it's right in your face. Like, I feel like it's more like, if you know kind of a thing. Well, like
that will be from the fact that it's like Woes was like, it was someone else's vision. I was just there to like, help play the riffs and help finish the songs. You know what I mean? Program the drums. You know, when we're sitting writing demos and things like that, like really fast. Like track the bass, because like, you know, Sean was too busy singing or, you know, like vibing out beats or whatever. You know, like it was what it was. But yeah, it was. This is like, you know, this is my vision now. This is like my goal at it, and like. We've had like I got to work with so many cool people and write songs with so many cool people, like over like, you know, Zoom and like Google Meet and all that sort of stuff. Like sitting down in our studio like every single week when it was the only thing that we could do, and just like writing and like finding these songs and finding this craft, and then getting to the point where we went out and played all those shows, felt super inspired by that, wrote a record, recorded a record, then went back out, played a couple of those songs, got to see what people think of them. Like, we've had like a really great experience in our like first.
That's amazing.
I only really feel that like the last year, like 2022, that was our first year of being a real band. Yeah, we were releasing music and stuff like that, but it was like you can't just
out there.
You can't just make music videos, take pictures of yourself, record a song. Like, we're a band. Like, it doesn't count until you're out there actually playing gigs.
Sure,
and
yeah.
We've got a lot of gigs to go, and I think that like that'll be that's the next grind that we've got to do, is just like get out there and play all these songs as many times as possible in front of as many people as possible, in as many places as possible. Well,
I hope one of those places is the States, because I'll be on that first ticket to go see you guys. 100%.
Me too, man. I've never been to America. I'd love to go to America.
There we go. Well, the next question I have for you, Luke, is obviously I mentioned it earlier. You guys signed to Thriller, which is awesome because I'm hoping that a lot of people go check you out. Not for the reason that you're signed, just because I think you make some really fucking amazing music, and I hope that
Thanks,
people
dude.
go check it out. But how did that process come to be, where you guys signed to Thriller? Because I'm always curious when bands get signed like that.
I love this story because like we hadn't played a gig either, so it was like
yeah,
and like the world was closed down, and at that point we'd released 4 songs. So Bad Taste was out on, and because like literally nobody else was releasing music at the time. It got like really well playlisted on Spotify.
awesome.
It was cutting about, and like all the people who listened to like the mainstream pop punk were hearing this song, so it was getting out like chucked in the algorithm like super well. And it was like Sunday night, get a message, hey, heard your song, we'd love to talk. And we were just
wow.
Cool. Who's this? And then like on the Monday we had the conversation, and then on the Wednesday there was just like, right, let's do it. And we were just like, right, cool. And then it was like, you know, like all the negotiating time that goes with that. But there was like, we were talking to a couple of labels, like, because that was like our idea. But then when they reached out, because we were reaching out, and then they reached out to us.
Yeah.
And that was like the first go. It's just like amazing. Like it was just like really, really good energy in the conversation. Like just like a lot of trust, you know what I mean? Which is like amazing to have with the people that you work with. And like over the course of while we've been working together, it's just been amazing. Like so supportive in everything that we do. Like really believe in it. Like will give us guidance when they really, really feel it's there, but let us like do our thing completely, which is amazing. And I guess that's like, it's not, we won't shout about the fact that we're not like 20, but like, you know, like I'm 28. I actually turn 29 next week, which
happy birthday.
Yeah. Well, no, we're not even going to talk about it.
I'm going to be 30 in like two weeks, so I get it.
Yeah, we're feeling it. Yeah, sweet. It's that we've done our time of like making lots of mistakes, I think, and like, we still make lots of mistakes, and like we have to, when you're in a band, it's like it's inevitable. It's like they're not really mistakes; they're just like, it's, you know, expenses of the career. You know,
yeah, sure, yeah.
You want to go do that, you've got to sacrifice working for a month if you want to go on tour for a month. So it's like, okay, cool, right, I'll deal with that when I come home. You know, and like the support that we've had has been amazing. They've really backed all the songs that we put together, and like I'm sure we're going to do some really cool bits with this record.
I'm very excited. Like I said, I'm fully in on Happydaze. If that wasn't clearly evident to most people watching this, I'm very excited. I think they have, honestly, like I said, listen to Cool Blue first. That was like the first song I listened to.
Nice.
And I was just like,
you're going backwards.
It was so good, and then I was like, can they do it again? Can lightning strike again? And I went and listened to With You, and I was like, bro, like this one's also good. What the hell?
There's something about With You for me, man. I love that song. I really, really love that song. We've opened pretty much all our shows. We just changed our set list after like playing the same one for a year, and we opened With You for every show, and it's just like, there's just something about that beat when it comes in. Like it just gets me psyched, because it's that feeling of like, oh yeah, we're going to go play a gig now. Like it's time to play a gig. And it's great. It's so funny how it doesn't even take that many times to just like completely program it into your brain. You know, like, that's what this song means. It's so funny.
That's amazing. And then I went back and listened to Missing Out, and I was like, God, I'm like, this was also good. And then I was like, okay, this is the 4th song. They have to have like some song that just doesn't jive with me. Then I went to Go Wrong, and I was like, no, this one's also good.
No chance. Like it's the riff, man. It's the riff. Like,
it's the riffs, yeah. Oh my God.
I write the music that I want to listen to. You know what I mean? And like that riff, it still hasn't got bored. It's still not got bored.
Oh.
I pick up a guitar and play it most days. Just it's so good. It's so good. It's the chunky tone. It's everything. It's so good.
Oh my God. And then Bad Taste, and then What's It For? And I was just like, oh my God, this is so good.
I appreciate that a lot. We put a lot of work into it. I really appreciate the kind words on it. Like once we're done with this, I'll send you some tunes for the new record so that you can vibe on it and
all right.
see what you think. It's you can really get into the nitty gritty and analyze it. I need to try like work out how to make like videos of how I made the beats, because I think that people are kind of interested.
Yeah.
Like there's crazy sounds in it, and yeah. It's just
the electronics
man,
are great. You know, I think that's like the underrated element throughout like all these songs. But I will say like the most apparent one is Cool Blue, and I'm glad that that one's the first one out. That one's the first one that kind of shows up on YouTube and stuff and Spotify.
I think you'll hear that throughout the next batch of songs that we're bringing out. It's like that was the focus. Like make sure that these elements are there. I think we're going to need to get a DJ in the band to be able to play all these bits, you know?
Yeah, you might have to, but it would be 100% worth it because I think it's really unique and really interesting. And again, it was something that I was already looking for, and I feel like you guys just like you found that like niche that I was looking for and just like filled it up, and I absolutely love that. So for me, 10 out of 10, you know. So guys, go check them out. Links below. But the next question I have for you, Luke, is a appropriate question to ask you, certainly. For people who maybe aren't familiar with Happydaze, what song would you recommend to a new listener to check out first?
I think that it's the way that you've done it is that, you know, go check out Cool Blue, see where we're at right now, and then go back and see where it came from. Because I think
okay.
You hear the progression. Do it in any order. I think that it all works. I think that some of the songs that we released, like right at the start of when we were releasing, like, they didn't quite see the light of day. And like, you know, I think that they're still great tunes and they're worth going back there for. But like, if you were to see where we are now, like, you know, that's what we're about. And you know, we're only going to be bringing out more stuff that's along that it's on this journey that we're on at the moment. So I think if you're into that, you like where we're going, and I hope that's what's important. So you can always go back and enjoy everything that we've got. That was the kind of goal. Was like it was a conversation that we had with our record label about like over a year ago now. We were like finishing up our first EP. And there were things like, this isn't like what's going to define you. You know what I mean? This is so that like when people see you on these shows and people go out and you're going to play these shows, they've got something to go back and listen to. And this is like a base. This is when you start to release something else, they can go back and see where you came from. And I liked that because it was like, it opened up the idea of what that record was, because all of those songs pretty much were written over like a 2-year period.
Oh, wow,
and it was like, they were like picked out. And there was like some of them, like other songs from that time period that were like, you know, they were almost there. They were about to be the ones that were picked. It was literally like, you know, it was like almost like, you know, going like that. And anyway, this is the one. And you know, those, who knows what will happen with those songs? They're from the fact that it's not where we are right now, and it won't be where we ever are again, because it was like back in our past. Like we're probably not going to release those songs. You know what I mean? So it's like going back and then listening to them and seeing where they were, and then looking at how we done this record, where it was like a little bit more like close together. I actually got COVID right after we came back from the first night deep to it, and I wrote Cool Blue and another 2 songs from the record in that 10-day like ISO period, because I had nothing else to do. So yeah, and then like we went off and done the record in April and like May last year, and then went on tour. And like, yeah, it's taken ages to get there. You know, it's like we're almost nearly at a year from when it was written, and then like a year from when we recorded. So, but I think it's been worth the wait to, like, again, like I was saying this to somebody earlier on when I was speaking to them, was that the only rush really is in yourself.
Yeah,
you want to get it out there, and you want the world to see everything that you can and put out as much as you can. But if the pace that you're going is at the point of where it's like, this is what we've created, but we've also got to get everything ready to do that, so that by the time we put it out, we're not like broke it. You know what I mean? Because what's the point? Like, ideally, you're not keeping up with trends to the point of where it's like you have to release, you know, the day after the trend happens. Like, you want something that's a little bit more seminal than that. And I hope that's what we've got going on.
I think you guys are thinking, I would argue, and this may be a slightly biased perspective because I have enjoyed, Luke's projects as a whole, but I do feel like you guys are ahead. Like, I think there's something about it where I like listened to the songs and I was like, this is just like super catchy, and I'm just like, not in a negative way, but I was like hoping for like a song that wasn't just gonna jive with me immediately, and they all hit, and I was like, they're just doing something right. Like, to me personally, like the things that I enjoy, the things that I like musically, they just check all the boxes, and I'm very excited to see what Happydaze does next, because to me it's like you guys are just like, you guys are ahead. It's not like we were making like future beats or whatever, like something crazy, but I feel like you guys have such a fine attention to detail when it comes to writing the songs, but at the same time keeping them like super unique. Like I was actually trying to find bands that I could like maybe put you guys in a similar category to, and it was very difficult because I think that you guys tap into like some of that electronic stuff. You tap into some of that like rock, like almost like a little bit borderline like post-hardcore sort of stuff, but like indie kind of like post-hardcore stuff. It's just, and then like alt, you just throw alt right on top of all of that, and it's just this crazy amalgamation that if you looked at it on paper, you'd be like, this probably isn't gonna work, this isn't gonna work, right? And then you listen to the song and you're like, damn, this kind of works, and then as you go in and listen to it, you're like, I could see it now, like the gears are turning. And that's kind of how I felt like listening through to all the songs here, like at my desk. I was just like so like impressed at what's going on. And the only bands that I could think of that like relatively reminded me of you guys was, first, obviously, Wearing the Hat, Bill Murray. I feel like you guys kind of have that
that's cool. That's
like
really
that
cool.
alt kind of Bill Murray stuff. Another great UK band, Super Love. I feel like you guys kind of have that like
I need
that
to check
kind
them
of
out a
vibe.
little bit more though.
And then Belmont, I feel like you guys kind of got a little bit of pop punk, you know, a little tech, a little bit of the, you know, a little extra in there. So I feel like
I think we go a bit slower on those like chunky riffs though, so it doesn't feel like too metalcore, you know. If we're gonna have like a pedal riff, it's got to be like at half speed, you know, like we're gonna.
Yeah.
But,
so and then an honorable mention, I feel like you guys kind of took a little bit of like Lower Than Atlantis, you know, just a little sprinkle.
Nice, yeah. World Record was a big one for me when that came out. I think I was like 17 when that record came out, so it was like it was a point, you know, like one that I think I actually might have bought like a couple of those songs on iTunes. Crazy.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Who done that? Who done that?
Now we just stream shit. That's what's going on.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my god. But yeah, I'll leave all the links to all the songs down below. Highly recommend the way that I did it, you know, not to toot my own horn, you know, Luke signed off on it as well too. So, you know, I'm just saying that might be the right way to do it. So go check them out.
Yeah,
anyway.
Just go down the popular songs, go down all the releases. It's the best way to do it. I think we've actually got a playlist. If you go on our Spotify, you can just, it's like all our songs in the order they came out, I think.
There we go. Love it.
Reverse chronologically or something. Yeah, that's the way to go.
The next question I have for you, Luke, is who got you started out? I know, like you said, you play guitar and also you do vocals in Happydaze. But who kind of got you started out on like, you know, making music? Who was like the first person you saw and you were like, that seems really sick, I'd love to do that? And then who influences your style and like Happydaze as a whole musically now?
So like the musical journey started with having an incredibly musical family. Like,
oh, very nice.
Everybody in my family like plays something, like whether it's like guitar or like my auntie, she is like we're actually really close in age, and she is she's an unbelievable piano player, like harp player, violin player, drummer, like everything. But the one that she can't play like as good as me is guitar. So that was like, right, okay, I'll get better at her at guitar. That was the one. No, that wasn't it at all. It was actually really funny. I got my first guitar off my granny at Christmas in like 2004, I think it was. And it was from Costco. It was a Squire starter pack. And then it was like came with the amp and the guitar and the strap and all that.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, apparently my auntie was with her when she was like picking it up. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'll get this for Luke." And she went, "Don't get him that. You'll never play it." So like I find that I always think of that story. I find it really, really funny. But yeah, that was the start of it. And like I had it in my house, and it would kind of sit there. And like I remember, like my mum showed me like my first couple of chords on that Christmas.
Oh,
and I was, like,
nice.
Kind of like looking in the mirror, like, you know, playing like a D chord, being like, "Yeah, this is cool." And then it kind of went out of my head for a little bit. And then I went to see School of Rock, dude. That was what it was.
Oh,
I went to see School of Rock, and Jack Black just got on my fucking brain. Like, still to this day, like whenever we're jamming ideas, like musical theory, I've like studied music and all that to like a certain degree, and then like I still communicate in like, you know, like the boom, 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 you know, like all that stuff. Like that's how you gotta do it. Like, there's no time for theory when it's all about the vibes, you know. And that's what Jack Black taught us.
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that. I feel like if you aren't a musician, like that, this conversation may not make sense to you, but if you are a musician, you 100% get that, because like sometimes I'll be like, oh, it would have been really cool if it was like da 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 ba 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 da, and then they're like, no, I really feel like it should be like da 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 ba ba da da, and I'm like, you know what? Actually, that kind of sounds cool. I like that, you know. And it's wild because
but it's also but it's not just about the drums. It's also it's like in the beam of light that'll come down and like, you know, that's also what it's about. Like it's so funny. It's so funny, and like every now and again, like I'll watch that movie. Like it's still like. I remember like looking at it, it's like the flying V when he gets the flying V and the SG out of the back of his van, like he's got the full backline, good to go in the back of the van. I was just like, yeah, that's what I want to be.
That's great. I feel like as musicians we don't give that movie as much credit as we should, because I think there's a lot of people.
You've surely seen that meme that's cutting about where it's just like the biggest hero in School of Rock is the promoter of the Battle of the Bands, who got like 1,000 people down on like a fucking Thursday morning.
Yeah, he goated.
They've already been there for a while, you know.
That it is insane. That is the most goated promoter ever, you know, I would argue. You know, how else would you get that? Where is he at? Let's go, guys. If you are a goated promoter, I guess you can comment if you want. That'd be sick, but who knows? We'll figure it out. But I love that, because I feel like for myself, I don't know if you can see, but I have one of my guitars over in the corner over there.
That's the same one that I got, man. If that's the Squire, if it's a Squire,
it's not a Squire. It's a Fender.
Nice.
It's a Fender.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah, it's a Mexican.
Yeah, the red, nice, man. That's sick.
Thank you. I'll put it on my bed since nothing's over there.
That's where I keep my guitars as well. Like I've got a rack of like shite guitars, and like the good one like sits on the bed, you know, like away from.
Oh yeah, that's how you know. Yeah, you're like, which guitar am I gonna use? Oh, the one on the bed. Of course, we're gonna leave that there. But yeah, no, I feel like for myself, like it's cool to hear people like growing up in music, because I didn't, like, my family is not musical by any stretch, and I think I have said this story a few times, but for myself, like my dad owned like a landscaping business, and one of his workers was this like atypical like 80s hair metal guy, had like the long blonde hair, you know, the cut off sleeves, and you know, the person that you would imagine being in a hair metal band absolutely was in a hair metal band. And then I remember one day he was just over at our house, and he was like, I think he had brought his like huge like 2x12 like combo amp, and then he opens his guitar case and it's like this emerald green like PRS like SE24 or something like that, and I was like, oh my god, that thing's like gorgeous. And then he just started playing it, and I was like, yeah, that's what I feel like I have to learn how to play guitar now, because that was so cool, you know, like I was so enamored by that. And then my parents got me something very similar to what your granny got you, which was the box guitar. Like I got one of those Epiphone like Les Paul Juniors, you know, one of those like one of those beater guitars.
They were class. I remember a couple of my mates getting them when I was in high school and being totally jealous, because I just had like a Squire Strat. You know, it's like it's a Les Paul, and like Epiphone was cool. Like loads of people had Epiphones because Gibsons were just like so expensive.
Oh yeah.
And then like I remember somebody got the Zakk Wylde guitar while I was at school, and I was just like, ooh, that's some good stuff. But then like it was crazy. Like I think we're never ever going to get back to that because of like the secondhand market, but the new guitar market, and like it's such a niche conversation to have, but the new guitar market that was around in like 2008 to 2010, man, holy shit, like it was so good. Like you know, you could go into like a music shop in Edinburgh and like there's like 5 music shops and like every single one of them just had like a fucking like 10-meter wall and it's just like all covered in Gibson Les Pauls, every color under the sun. And then there's like another 10-meter
yeah,
wall.
Oh my God.
Every available Fender on the market. It's just like, cool, right? That's the entranceway. You go through the back, then we've
and
got
there's
all
just like,
cases.
yeah, there's like hundreds. Yeah.
Yeah. And you could go in and like, I mind that at my high school, man, there was so many people who had like one of my mates had like a dime bag guitar. One of my mates had a BC Rich. I'm not even making this up. He had a BC Rich Warlock and a Jackson Warrior.
Oh my God.
Like both the Slipknot guitars. That's what was so good about it. It was like, and like literally only played like he couldn't even fucking play guitar. He would play like the trivia of Dying in Your Arms like over and over again when we were trying to band practice. And then we'd be like, "Do you want to play anything else?" And he's just like, "Nah, I'm basically here to play guitar through this amp," and then just go home and be like, "Great, cheers."
That's great. Oh my God, if I could go back in time and like grab one of those guitars now as like being an adult, that would have been peak, you know, classic.
They're dangerous weapons, mate. They're dangerous weapons. Like you drop that on your foot, like you're gonna lose a toe.
Goodbye. Yeah, those shits are not light. So yeah, I agree. But yeah, absolutely. That's such a cool thing, and I'm obviously like it's crazy to see how much music has changed, and like obviously the way that people get into like bands and stuff. So I appreciate the journey, because certainly if it didn't start there, we wouldn't have had Happydaze. So I appreciate that storyline. But the next question I have for you, Luke, is who are you currently jamming? What's on the Spotify? What have you been listening to lately?
Interesting. I'm going to be really shameless. I'm just going to like look, because
I love it. Do it up. This is not shameless.
Quite a lot of the time, I find myself like I'll listen to something and I'll be like, yeah, that's really sick, and then I'll just completely fucking forget about it, and then like it'll maybe come up again like 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years later. And I'm like, oh yeah, remember that song? Oh my God,
that was sick.
There's like an artist like I'll like completely deep dive on them for ages, and then all of a sudden they go out of the spin, and then you forget about it. There's this guy called Dijon.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah. And like I was really into like the early stuff. I think I found like the first couple of records, like Nico's Red Truck. That song, so beautiful. And then when the beat comes in at the end, you're just like, holy shit, this is a vibe. And I completely forgot about him for 2 years. I'm scrolling on YouTube the other day, and then he's got this like 25-minute one-shot live video shot in the living room. You seen this?
Yes. Oh, it's so good.
So good, man. So good. Yeah, absolute journey on that. So that was pretty cool. But I'm just like trying to be cool, and I say I didn't really watch all of it. I watched like the first 5 minutes, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I remember, and then I was like, and then I think I went and listened to Nico's Red Truck again. I was like, yeah,
let's go.
I really like, and I'm continually listening to Gene Dawson's album Chaos now. Like that is
okay.
It's so good. Have you checked that out?
I have not. No, I'll have to check it out.
Like, listen, take it in. Highly recommend watching all the music videos that go along with it as well. Cinematic gold. Like, just really, it's just like there's so much going on, and like you're completely engaged the whole time, and then you're also going with this song, and you're just like, oh my God, like there's so many interesting layers in all these songs. And then there's one particular song on that record called Pirate Radio. And after I heard it, I was just like, oh my God, I suck. It's like one of those ones.
I hope not. I don't think you guys suck.
No. It's like that inner feeling is like, I appreciate that. And I love that. It's just like I will never reach this ability. Like, I'll never get to here, This is a guy who's sat for like 5 years every single day writing songs, and then that's like the day after 5 years he hits that one, and it's just like, oh my God, I've done it.
That's so like an Animals for me, like being a guitar player. That's like listening to like a Polyphia track or like an Animals Leaders, and you're like, yeah, I don't know. We're not gonna. Yeah, no, that's not. Yeah.
I was saying this to a guy the other day as well when we were chatting. I was talking about like the advent of like the producer band, and how like so many people like it's like guys that are like our age who when they were like 16 they got like a computer and a Line 6 pod, and like they started like like Superior drummer in, and like recording dun, we got their Reason redrum and all that shit. Niche jokes. Sorry for the niche jokes if you don't have a clue what I'm talking about. But all these guys like spent 10 years doing it, and now they're just like unbelievably good. And then it's like that new Periphery song, man, Wildfire.
Oh,
like,
nuts.
It's just like, come on, like, how good is it? It's just like from the get-go, just like absolute chaos, like going absolutely hard as fuck. And then it's just like the weird jazz shit in the middle.
Yeah.
And you're still just like, yeah, I'm absolutely here. I'm all about it. All about it. It's like there's so many sick bands like that. A lot of them, most of them are like Australian for some reason.
Oh yeah, you know Australian bands are nuts.
Yeah, they're all Aussies, like ridiculous producers, ridiculous shredders, and like just so good. So good.
I don't know. I feel like Europe's got some great. No diss against America, but I feel like every other country except for America just is like they have like the foresight. There's something about every one of the like international bands. They just like do something different, and then one like really like random band from the States will be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna push the envelope, and then they do something that like some other band from Australia or like the UK or like Europe did like 2 years ago, and they're like reinventing the wheel, guys.
I'm not saying that I agree with you with what you're saying there, but every band that was coming into my mind, I was like, oh, them. I was like, oh, no, wait, they're British. Them, no, they're British. And them, oh, no, wait, they're like Australian or something else. There is. There has to be. I'm just like, I'm not able to think straight about it. There definitely is.
Oh, like, no, 100%.
America's like the superstars, though. That's like the pop stars. Like
fair.
Like the biggest, most successful musicians. Like most of them tend to be like, Californian.
Yeah, I could see.
Not necessarily Californian, but that's where they live.
No, absolutely. No, I know what you're saying. I completely get what you're saying. I'm also kind of like, no offense, making disses to like American bands. I'm just really trying to be like, totally. Push the envelope, Like I think for me, it's like when I think of UK bands or like I think of like Australian bands or I think of like Japanese bands, they're always like, I don't give a shit. Let's throw like a K-pop beat into this song, or like let's throw like a really cool like electronic part in here, or like something that just to me is like, okay, you're doing something different. Like I appreciate it. Like Enter Shikari is like a great example of like a band that is still doing the good shit, but always like trying to do something different and bring something unique to the genre.
I saw them on the Take to the Skies tour in 2007 when I was 13 years old. It's so funny. So funny. Unbelievable gig. Still remember most of it because it was just like
unreal.
They were my favorite band at the time, and then like the next year or like 2 years later when they brought out Common Dreads, me and my mates all skipped school. We stayed at my granny's house, and then she drove us into Glasgow at like 6 a.m. to wait in the queue outside HMV. Which is like I don't know if you know what HMV is. It's like,
I do not.
It was a chain. It's like a chain big music shop.
Okay, cool.
Like, and it was like all over the UK. I think they've like started to come back, but they obviously disappeared because of Amazon and shit like that. HMV was class, and the one in Glasgow had like 3 levels, and the middle level had this like circular balcony bit, and they would do gigs and stuff in there. So if you went in and you bought the CD, you got to then come back at 6 p.m. and they was going to do a gig. So like this is 8 a.m. So we had to spend 10 hours just like wandering about Glasgow. We were like, I think I was 15. I had no fucking money. And then like I think we were waiting in the queue, and I got brought some chips, like fries from my auntie. And like we were just sitting eating them, and then we went into HMV. Everybody like took their bags and their jackets, just chucked them in a massive pile at the back, and like everyone was talking. It's like, I wonder if it would be acoustic. I wonder if it would be acoustic. And we get in, and there's a half stack and a drum kit, and we're all just like, yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
I think they managed to play 4 songs, and then it was just like, stop this. This is fucking chaos. Like, this is a shop. There's like a 300-man mosh pit. Everybody's in the pit. The entire crowd is the pit. The barrier is like 6 bouncers all like surrounded,
huddled together.
The album came out that day. They're playing 2 new songs that haven't been released yet, like officially. Everyone knows all the words because they've all illegally downloaded the album like, 2 weeks beforehand. But it's fine because everybody there's bought the album, so it's absolutely fine. And oh man, that was an unforgettable experience. But like talking about like the innovation of bands now, like they're still going, they're still doing really, really cool stuff. But like it's heavy music in the UK that's really getting like the coolest stuff. Like Loads.
Oh, love them.
Unbelievable band. Everything about them, the sound, the vision, everything. So fucking heavy as well. Like, it's the best. And then Static Dress as well. Like, exact same situation. Like, the vision, the sound, everything. And they're like, the thing that's so sick to see is like, it's so popular, everyone's into it, and it's so fucking like 2006.
Oh, yeah.
Like Under Oath vibes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what we want to see, and the fact that that's got such like a big pull is so fucking good. I love that, because when I was trying to do that shit, no one gave a fuck about that.
Yeah, oh my god. It is wild, like, how much, like, alternative music has shifted, because we're, like, roughly in the same age group. Like, so I just think it's hilarious because, you know, like, for myself, like, I grew up and I got bullied for, like, listening to this type of music, and now it's, like, the cool thing to, like, listen to all music.
But then when you're like 18, 19, it was the thing in America at that time, where it's like the Rise Records bands, they were the ones who were the most popular, and like they were like literally charting bands like Memphis Mayfire and like Of Mice and Men, releasing like top 10 albums.
Oh yeah.
And like they were literal celebrities. And then it's like, it's so funny when you go on all their Wikipedias, because they've done this at one point, like looking at this, like, this is fucking crazy how many albums these bands were selling. And then you go on to it, and it's like, you know, like chart position number 12, and it's like the American like top 100 albums. You're like, oh my god, that's fucking crazy. And then the next one, it's just like 48, and then the next one after that, like, did not chart. And it's
just like,
it's so funny seeing that trend and being able to now look at the data, looking back at it. Like, we can see so many things like that where you're like, oh yeah, this was the end thing, and now it's just like dead. You know, like, no one's into it. I'm a bit, I wouldn't say like out of touch with it, but I think it's because of how many people are actually actively going out and listening to the radio these days, you know, like all day, every day. And like whenever I do, I'm not going to be able to assume something that you listen to every time, but it's like, it does seem to be like, you know, it's a selection of songs. The alternative shows are really, really good, because that's where you hear new music, and like, you know, that's where like bands like us get played and stuff, and like,
oh yeah,
those are awesome. But when you're listening to like daytime radio, like, it's just like, you know, it's probably going to be Drake or Lewis Capaldi or like, you know, just like someone like that, and that's great. I love listening to those songs, like I really do. I get when I'm at my job, and like I put like those kind of tunes on, and people are like, oh, can we have some like middle ground music? And I'm like, what do you mean middle ground? Like, and they're like, oh, that because it'd be like a wee bit more like weirder. And I'm like, what?
You came to the right place.
We could just listen to pop songs, and then it's just like, and then people like other folk like put on like, you know, Good Charlotte and stuff, and they're like, why don't you put this on? I'm like, because I don't like. I love this. I'll sing along to this with you right now. I'll be on it with you. But like, I'm not going to be like I listen to that music like since I was like 11. You know, like, I've done my time. Like, I remember watching like the Girls and Boys video, but at like 11-year-old, and just being like, so sick. This is it. This is what I want to do. You know. And it was funny. I don't know why I went to metal for so long, when it was like pop punk was always like, looking back, it was always pop punk bands that I was just like, oh man, what is this? I love this.
Oh yeah, well, I think it's like, again, that sort of alternative umbrella. Like, I think there was some, like, obviously some really great pop punk bands. There's some like great emo bands and stuff, and I try to do my best to like listen to all of it now. And now I'm into like pop music. I listen to folk music. Like, I'm all over the place. Only genre I really don't like actively search out is like country music. That's personally not my favorite genre of music. But if somebody wants to challenge me to have some good country music, drop it in the comments. I'll be curious to check it out. But
I would as well, because like I actually do really enjoy a little bit of that, but it has to be that sad stuff, you know.
Oh yeah,
that real like nice like doom, and then I got like a little violin going, making me feel shit. Like that's what I'm into.
It's gotta break your soul.
Have you ever listened to? It's more kind of bluesy, but have you ever seen the movie Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
No, I have not. No, I'll have to check it out.
It was the first DVD that my family ever owned. And it's George Clooney. He's in it.
Okay.
It's a really, really good movie. And the music that goes through that is all like, it's very like bluesy, country, like acoustic-y stuff.
Okay.
And like the story is basically these three guys escape from prison, and they go through this blind guy's radio station that he has, and it's like set in like really early like America, like early 1900s, and they go in and they record this record, and the guy doesn't know what they look like, even though they're these outlaws, and they become like super famous. So while they're running away from the law, they're becoming like really, really famous with this song all over the country, and like it's a really good movie. You should watch it. And like that kind of vibe, like whenever I watch that movie, I'm always just like, oh yeah, it makes you feel something. Definitely makes you feel something. I think in every genre, there's an element of it that you're not too keen on. Like I love heavy music, but whenever it goes a little bit too soft on the vocals, it's like make your mind up, you know. If we're going to be angry, let's be angry. Like all of a sudden, we're going to be like, it's like yeah, kill each other. It's just like.
I kind of like that though. You know,
I do. I think it needs to be with
it has to make sense.
Architects, you know what I mean? Like take Architects. It's like he goes from the singing where he's like yeah, and then he's like yeah. It's the balance of the two.
Yeah, I got you. It's the energy, you know. I gotta agree with that. Like if the energy hits on a song, you just know it. Like it's just the vibes are there. And you know, I just think it makes like obviously deeper connection. So I
mean, like and saying that, like I say that, but I'll go back and I'll listen to like an old Attack record or something, and I'll still just be like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, like the self-titled. Oh, I love that album. That's
so good.
Goated.
I remember like walking by like a fucking river. When I was like 15, getting handed an iPod, be like, listen to this. I was like, oh, what is this? I was like, is this Enter Shikari?
And they're like, no, it's Attack, and you're like, oh shit.
So savage, because I think a lot of people like put Attack down as being like the inventors of that sort of shit, but Shikari were like so there before that.
No,
but, like, Attack just like they broke America before them, and it was so much bigger over there that like the synthcore. I love that.
There is just some really great synthcore bands, but I gotta agree, Shikari is
old UK. Just like you never would have heard of them, but there was like, I bet if I was to name drop them now, and you were to go back and listen to them, you'd be like, you like this? Was this good? But it's so funny seeing where those guys were and then who they've become. It's like all the people who are like in management and like working at labels. They're old band. You know, like they still exist out there. They're still on YouTube. The old like. What you thought was like this cinematic masterpiece on YouTube, and you go on it now, and it's just like this looks like a potato, man. And I bet this cost them $5,000. You know, it's so funny.
It is true, and it's great. It's crazy how some of the like I think about some of like the older bands that I grew up listening to, and now they're doing like, oh, we're doing management now, or we're like doing this and like stuff like that. And I think it's such a cool thing, and obviously it creates a path for, you know, obviously I hope other bands to, you know, do well. You know, I know Nick, who's also a part of Thriller. He's in Before Their Eyes, which is another classic like OG post-hardcore band. If you haven't checked them out, highly recommend.
I didn't actually realize that. That's cool.
Oh yeah, no. Before that, funnily enough, that was like he was like one of the first. That band was like one of the first bands I ever listened to, like getting into the scene. So I like great band. Before Their Eyes, go check them out.
Love it. Yeah, I will do.
Some OG post-hardcore music.
I just had to open a tab there. So I've got that giggle. That's ready to go.
Oh, love it. Make sure to. I hope you message Nick after and be like, I didn't know you were in this band. That's sick. I feel like that'd be tight.
I'll do a cover.
Yeah, he'll be like, what the. I love it. Speaking about covers, Luke, you know, segued into the next question is, what song would you love to cover with Happydaze?
It's interesting. I was thinking that. I was like, what would we do? What could we do that would be quite interesting? And I don't know. I'd like to do something that would be like completely off the cuff, like very much not the style, like leaning more into like the electronic side of stuff.
Ooh,
you know, like
okay.
Showcasing that off a little bit more, and then like I don't know. That's one that I need to think about a little bit more. It is one that I would need to think about a little bit more. Yeah, I'll need to come back to you on that. We should probably do that at some point. I'd really like to do that. I'd really like to just like go into the studio and be like, right, we've got this song. How would we write it? How would we make it sound? And it would be like a good learning experience, because like I've not actually released any songs like it, but just like as a learning practice, I would take a song, and then I would be like, right, how would I write this in this style, and then do it. Like literally have the other song in the session, like overdub the top of it, and then just delete that, and then like select all the audio and pitch it down 2 steps, and then you're like, cool, got a new song. So I've got a new song here, right? This is great. Re-record it all the 2 steps down. But it's like you never get rid of that feeling, and then when you try to write vocals for it, you just end up writing writing the song again. Right, fuck this idea.
Like new song idea, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Back into the bin. Beat 2 million. put it in there. We'll come back to this.
New song 1,700.
Yeah, brackets duplicate. You know.
I love that.
Underscore more bass.
Demo version.
Yeah. Demo version 2.1.
I love that. I love when bands just like either they just come up with like the most obscure demo name possible, or they're just like, this is new song 57. You know, like.
Well, I went to go get the stems for making the tracks for our next single, and I was like looking through, and I was just like, oh, I can't remember what I called the session. But I remembered what I called the folder, because I was just like sitting, I was just like, I'm going to write something, right? What? And then it comes up, you know, like, where are you going to save this? And it's like, right, new folder idea. So you've always got that like moment, right? What am I going to call this song? And then I looked over, and there was just a big bottle of water, and I was just, right, cool, natural mineral water. That'll sit there for now. And then I must have made the beat, and then I was just like, nah, I don't know what's really happening here. But it was definitely like, you know, like at that like 10-minute point, I thought, right, I've got to save this now. You know, like I need to like not lose what I'm doing. I don't know why, but I called it shite. And then I was like, I was thinking back to this. I was like, why did I call this? Because I remember the entire time. I was like, this is great. I'm vibing. Maybe I was just being ironic with myself that I was just like, yeah, shite. You know.
I love that. That's one of the funniest things, or like they just name it like the most offhanded thing you can think of. Like,
yeah, I think one of the songs in the record's demo name was Mike Money Supermarket or something like that. Yeah, a funny one, going back to the Woes tracks, we had when we were in Holland writing those songs, we didn't have names for them, so there's a supermarket in Holland called Jan. I think it's called Jan Linders. I think that's what it's called. And then there was this lawyer's office for a guy called Han Jansen, and we were just like, that's such a good name, Han Jansen. So we got, like, as I said, we were eating muffins and smoking for like a week, and this was like at the end of it. Like, what are we going to call this song, guys? So we called one of them Han Jansen and the other one Jan Hansen, and then and like it was like literally for like 4 months while we were talking about these songs, like to like mates, like letting them hear that it's just like yeah, this one's sick, it's called Jan Hansen, and then you'd let them hear it. And then you'd be like, yeah, this next one, yeah, this is also sick, it's called Han Jansen. And then we would be like talking to each other about it back and forth. So we'd be like, yeah. So like in Han Jansen, where it does that, but like, but I thought that was in Jan Hansen.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And then it's like one of the songs is finished, and you got to finish writing it, and then you just, oh yeah, we need to finish the chorus for Han Jansen. It's like, I thought it was finished. I was just like, this song is called, I think we called it, can't even remember what we were calling them. We gave them other names, but then they became what they became. They became what they became.
Oh, that's great. I love that. That was something I didn't know, but now I know, and I'm gonna forever love that sentiment now, because
yeah, it's stupid. Anybody else who would hear it just be like, yeah, very funny, ha 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 ha. But like, it was funny to us. You know?
It's great. I think that shit's hilarious. That's like one of the funniest things.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Exactly. But guys, if you want to give some suggestions to Happydaze in regards to a cover song, drop them in the comments.
Yeah, please.
I'm sure they'll check them out.
Do.
I think for me, personally, I think you could either take on like a really cool like EDM track. Maybe I'm thinking like maybe like a Churches song, or like maybe
also from Scotland.
I did not know that. They're very cool. So I feel like maybe a Churches song would be really interesting to hear your take on it. And then I think if I was going more in the like sort of pop direction, I feel like you guys could kill a Harry Styles song.
Yeah.
Like off his new album.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. Yeah, I just think there's nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that at all. I'd want to do something that's a little bit less sort of like we'll do a pop song from like 20 years ago. Let's find something from the 90s that people aren't searching all the time, and it's not like, oh, they're doing it for the TikTok, you know.
Fair enough. Okay. Respect. Yeah.
Not in that sense. I mean, like maybe we would. I reckon I would butcher any of his vocal lines, to be honest. Like,
nah. Kill it. Kill
it. Yeah, we'll try it. We'll see what happens. I think too many people would just be like, what are you doing?
I don't know, man. I think you could do it. I got full faith you got it, you know?
Yeah.
The vibes will be strong. So
I'll give it a go.
Guys, let us know in the comments. The next question I have for you, Luke, is if you guys were to have a dream collaboration on an up-and-coming Happydaze song, who would you love to work with?
So, like, for me, it wouldn't be... I love writing songs with anyone and everyone, but when we're writing stuff for Happydaze, like, because it's us that go out and sing it, like, I feel as though there's, like, when you're working with someone, you want them to produce you.
Yeah, sure.
It's like if you're working with like someone who's like a songwriter over a producer, it's the difference between a songwriter and a producer. When you're sitting and you're songwriting with someone else, is that like if you're sitting writing with a songwriter, I very much felt this way in Woes, and that's what was good about it. It was competitive in that way. It was like, who's going to write the chorus right? who's going to write the hook? Who's going to get it? And then everyone else has got to be sitting there like, oh yeah, that's so sick, and I didn't think of it. You know, it's like that sort of moment. But like when you're working with a producer and it's somebody who can like be like, what have you tried that? And like, what do you think about this? And why are you doing that? And like, and try out this and like do that. But they're not there to win. You know what I mean? Them winning is getting the best out of you.
Yeah.
So I'd love to work with a couple of producers, but the main one that I just love all of his YouTube content and stuff as well, and like his album that he brought out recently is just such a vibe. Is Kenny Beats.
Oh yeah. Wow. All right. I like that. Yeah. I can vibe with that.
Yeah. Unbelievable, man. Like his ethos to everything, the way that he does it, like watching all his videos and the way that he creates music, it's just like. It's so funny. I definitely I didn't go out there and like look at the world that was there and like the communities that existed, like in terms of like, you know, like the Twitch and the Discords and like the YouTube like communities and then like the Facebook communities and all that sort of stuff. That came like pretty late on for me. And then like seeing this world of people and it's just like how everybody can learn from each other. It was just like,
oh yeah,
I didn't do that. Like I done not like so much of it myself, and then like finally like finding that world. It's just like every single video you watch, you get like a new little trick or a new skill, and you instantly want to just go up, open up the computer, and try it out in your own way. You know, like, oh, I could do this like that. I could do this like that, and I find that stuff really, really inspiring to watch. And like that's definitely what like got a lot of the stuff for the new record going. But at the same time, like I feel like we really hit the mark on our song "Bad Taste." Like we really got the vibe there, and that was like. It was like the 12th song I wrote in the COVID demos, like out of all of those sort of, it was like the 12th idea, not song, like they were all ideas. Like,
sure.
Demo 1 was like, you know, 4 bars, you know, like it was that sort of thing. Like that's the kind of like differences that we had. And Bad Taste was that, and there was something about that, and I think I just like I found this sound in my head. Like I remember like just like really concentrating on finding a bit of clarity, like what is this sound in my head that I'm trying to get out? And it was that beat, like the dun da da. And I recorded that. I was like, yeah, this is it. And I've tried that since in a lot of different ways, like with that sort of like cut sample kind of style going. And that is like, it's very like hip hop production style, but it's very much like in my own way. So it can sometimes sound like a little bit janky. But when you combine that within a band, that's the uniqueness in it. You know what I mean? It's not like a guy like letting and like writing loops over the top of it. The intention is that it's like they're both as important as each other. But if you take one away, they can exist simultaneously, like on their own as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what the edge is that we have.
I would agree. Yeah.
Can't really remember what my point was and all of that. I was just started going on, and I was just thinking about it all. It's interesting when you actually verbalize it like this. You don't do it too often until someone asks you, and we don't sit and ask it to each other because we're just sitting doing it, you know?
Yeah. 100%. I feel like a lot of the times when I have artists on, like, it's cool to unlock those sorts of things that, like, again, I know I said it at the beginning of the show, but I'm such a music nerd. Like, I sometimes play music on my own, but I think it's cool to experience how other people write, how they put songs together. how do they sing, how do they learn how to sing better, like these are all things that I personally want to work on. And getting the opportunity to interview different artists from different backgrounds and the way that they kind of go about writing is always cool to me, because then, very similarly to you, like watching Kenny Beats and watching him produce, it's like I get to watch other people and how they create their type of music, or how how their style kind of like bleeds into what they make. And to me it's cool, because then I get to kind of, in whenever free time I have, I get to spend it and like really kind of analyze it and possibly throw it into some of my writing and be like, oh, cool. Like that was something I picked up from Luke, or like that's something I picked up from someone else, or I watched this YouTube video and I really like that. So like, let me integrate that in,
I love it. And it's never ripping anybody off, man. I watched a video of Flea talking about it in a good way. He's like, if you do something, it's like language. You hear a word for the first time that you really like, and that you're like, yeah, I need that word. I'm going to use that word in my vocabulary.
Yeah.
That's what you're using. Like a lot of the things, all the things that everybody does in music comes from learning it from someone else, or like you hear it and it's a subconscious thing. Like at this point, nobody's coming up with anything new. We're now at the point of where we're taking everything that exists and making new things out of that. A guy in front of me, if I was getting some. I was across the road getting some fruit and vegetables. It's this little shop, and it's like so much cheaper than going to the supermarket. It's so much better to do it that way. Support your local grocer.
Hey, let's go.
The guy in front of me was talking. The Who are playing in Edinburgh, and he's just like, they just don't do music like that anymore. And I didn't even intend to stand up for myself, because the guy obviously wasn't like intended to insult me or that. But I was just like, I have to disagree, man. I have to disagree. I think that what people are doing now is that they're taking what exists and they're making it their own, and they're putting something out there. And if you listen to that and you take that inspiration and then hear how far it's come, it's like, it's interesting to listen to. It's really, really cool. And he's just like, yeah, fair enough, actually. I totally. I was just like, and plus, most of it's better than the old shit. And I was like, when we went to it was just like, it was really, it is that. We are at that point now where like music's really, really interesting when you find something that is super, super unique, that doesn't exist, that hasn't existed before, or it's like it reminds you of something and you don't know what it is.
Yeah,
like people describe us like that. It reminds me of something, but I'm not too sure what it is. Like I get that with a lot of different bands, and it's those bands that I'm just like, this is cool. And I really like Oliver Tree, and Oliver Tree's got that kind of vibe. It's just like it puts me in a thought, in a frame of mind, and I'm just like, yeah. I can just like, I can follow this, I can flow with this, and I can enjoy this. And I don't have to overthink it too much. I think that's the important part of it.
I think it just allows you to like, I think it's cool to see like, when bands obviously talk about their influences, it's really cool to me to find out like, okay, who inspires them to write the way that they write. But also I think it's cool to kind of like have that thought of being like, okay, these are who they're influenced by. Does it translate into their music? And if it does, like what certain parts are they taking from like XYZ band and putting it into their music? And it's always a cool fact, and then it makes me want to go back and listen to some of the songs that are out, because I think it just makes the process of listening to bands a little bit more interesting. And then you're like, oh wow, Luke mentioned this really cool thing about who he was influenced by, and I'm like, oh, now I can kind of hear a little bit of that, where maybe upon first listen I was like, it kind of just I glazed over it.
A lot of the bands and like artists that would influence me, like when I really do think about it, because I don't really think about it enough, I don't think, but like for the pop punk stuff, I'd say the heaviest influence in that, out of all the pop punk bands that I've listened to, because I only really kind of got into like the modern pop punk in like 2018. That's when I started, like 2017, 2018 was when I started really listening to like all these kind of bands. And Knuckle Puck and Story So Far, those are the two that really, really stand out for me. There's an emotional edge to those bands, and there's like an angst to it, but there's just like, it's the same sort of thing. Like all the songs just kind of hit, and there's always something about every one that makes you want to go back to each one of them, and like the records are a journey. With all of them, I prefer the newer stuff as well, and I think that's a great place to be. Like I think that all of them have like they've come forward really, really well, and like make really, 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 really good songs. And then for like, the more out there sort of stuff, like In Woes, like Frank Ocean was a religion.
Yeah. Oh.
And like, and I've not been spending enough time, like, you know, looking back and reading the gospel, you know. I need to actually do that, but like there's rules that go on, and I think that everybody in music, everyone who writes, everyone who does songs, there's like invisible rules that only they know and only they can get and match, and like some people can try copy it, but you know when it's a copy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
The rules that go on in the Frank Ocean songs, like, it's crazy. I mean, like, they're all there, but there's some artists who, like, you know, when was the last time we got a new Frank Ocean song? It's so long ago. There's not a lot of people who can get away with that, and as soon as he does, it will be the biggest thing in the world for a couple of days. And like,
oh yeah,
that's cool. That's when you know it's good. I love Bon Iver as well. Like,
yes,
that production's wild. I've been listening since For Emma, and like, it's, again, what a journey that artist has went on.
Oh yeah,
it's really cool
fantastic.
now. I mean, like, it's obviously existed there. We're just like growing up and getting to experience it in our own way. We didn't get to see bands like Metallica progress. We just, like, were told, yes, and Anger's crap, by the way.
That's accurate.
Welcome to the world. St. Anger's crap, and like, yeah, away to high school and, you know, listen to puppets. Like, that's the Metallica upbringing and all that. But then when you actually look at it, like, I love St. Anger, and now that I had a chance to, like, go back and do all that, it's one of my favorites. I think Frantic and St. Anger, huge mega tune, some of the best Metallica songs going. This is what happens, man. I don't know how it ends up happening. I always end up just starting to talk about Metallica, so I'm going to catch myself now and just stop.
I feel that, like, because it's interesting for me too, because I think, like, listening to some of the older bands that, like, my parents showed me growing up, and how much that influenced me, like, early on, and listening to, like, a lot of classic rock, you know, being anywhere from, like, the Beatles to, like, Journey to, like, you know, all these just, like, fantastic artists. And I think it gave me a really good appreciation for, like, loving rock music as a whole. And then once I migrated into getting more into, like, the alternative and the heavier music, then it's like, I already had the appreciation because I love those songs, but now I have even more of an appreciation for it, because I'm like, man, there's, like, so much musicianship that goes into that. And, like, same with, like, OG, like, metal bands like Metallica, like Megadeth, those sorts of artists that, like, really pioneered those, you know, a lot of the bands that you hear now currently. Like, that's such a great thing. And you know, I say this often and a lot on the channel. It's just like, it's cool to see that, you know, while metal will probably not be nearly as large as, like, a pop artist or, like, pop music in general, I still feel like it has such a strong, like, niche, like, group of people that like really love
diehard watchers,
just diehard people. And then it's cool because a lot of the times those diehard, like, people have kids, and then they say, like, hey, listen to some fucking metal, like, you know, and then they grow up and then have, you know, it's a crazy cycle to think about, but it's such a cool thing because you're a part of that community.
Different, like, it's different when you look at, like, the pre-digital age of editing and stuff like that, and when bands would go in, and when you listen to those records, that's a performance, that's a moment that's been captured in time.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, like, yeah, it might have taken like a million takes to get to that point, but there was also the money in the industry then to be able to go and do that, you know. Like, when you hear, like, just like the crazy stories of, like, you know, even the cocaine budget. It's ridiculous. Like, and then it's like, that's like, the cocaine budget is like ridiculous, but that's nothing compared to the studio costs, because they're in there for like a year recording an album, and they're spending, like, you know, a month recording like a song of drums, and it could just be done then. And then, like, you also get these, like, ridiculous musicians as well who would go in and just, like, smack out an album in a week. And then, like, bands like the Foos, who still, like, live up to that reputation of they go in, they record, and they get it done, you know. Have you seen that documentary? What is it? Sonic Highways.
Oh yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, unbelievable, man. It's so cool being able to see a band like that, because it's like, it is almost like it just doesn't exist anymore. Like, in that sort of regard, like, there's not a lot of bands who could go into the studio and record and it would sound like that. like
Oh
from
yeah.
all of them just jamming in the room together. Like it's nuts. Like there's just not enough time anymore for people to practice like that. I'm sure they do exist, and I've just not heard them. But like in this world anyway, like it takes a lot of practice to be able to get to that. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts.
It's unlikely that it will happen. I don't want to say it's out of the question, but like a lot of bands, like especially just with the cost of studio time, can be very costly, you know. So I feel like bands really just go into there and have a mission, and they're like, we have to record these songs. Like we can't like screw around. We gotta go in. We have this amount of days to like write this album. We just have to do it. Meanwhile, like Dave Grohl's like, yeah, I got this 6 studio in my garage upstairs. Like we can spend like an entire year on this.
And that's
next
the
Foo
funny
Fighter
part.
album.
But he doesn't even need to spend a year on it. It's just like, yeah, right. So we've got the song, right? Cool. You all know your parts, yeah, right? Awesome.
Okay, let's go.
You know, like right, yeah. 1, 2, 3, record. Right, 5 minutes later, right? We'll run it again. That one was pretty good though. Record it now a couple times. Yeah, right. That's the song recorded now. You know, let's go do some vocals and overdubs. Like that. You know, like, unbelievable. I imagine I was trying to do that sort of stuff, but I mean, it's just like it's sonically not what we're used to anymore. Like everybody.
Oh yeah.
If you're not aware of like how music is recorded somehow, like you record it once and then you record it again and again, and then all of them are playing at the same time and they're panned to all different sides of the spectrum so that it sounds as big as possible. And it's just like it is larger than life. And like if you're going to have 20 guitars playing the same vocal line, then of course if you have one vocal singing, it's just going to sound mental. So of course there's 20 of the same vocal line going at the same time. They're all perfectly edited, so it all sounds as good as it can. And then when you play it and they're like, oh, it's sitting at every single bit you listen to it, you're like, oh my God, it sounds incredible. And then by the time it gets to everybody to listen to it, it's like so compressed in that, and it's how just sent to one person singing it, and you can't hear any of the guitars, and it's all for nothing.
It is like that, but I don't like. I feel like bands now have. I hope that bands find that solid middle ground of like, and this is like, to me, a true testament of if a band is a studio band or a live band is if I could listen to a song and then go see them live and I'm like, man, they can replicate that sound live like to a T, you know? And I think that, and that's not to discount, like, because I feel like there are some bands that are just live bands. Like, you could listen to the album recording and you're like, this is good, I like it. But then seeing them live and you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. You know, there's some theatrics to it.
I really got that with Nick Deep's last album with the Or Distortions, because like I heard the record and it's like so good, like produced so well, and there's like so many moments of where like the production it's unreplicatable live because of like what's going on.
Sure.
When you hear it live and it's got that new quality, and like it's like when you hear a band who have a song like that where there's just like there's certain elements that can't be redone, so it's like, you know, piano lines on a guitar, or like it's not filtered, so it's a little bit more open, and there's harmonics that you don't usually hear in the riffs that are going on, and it just like it's a completely different experience. It's awesome. I had that with Knuckle Puck when we got to play a few shows with them
very sick.
years ago, and it was the first time that I'd be like out with a band that I'd listened to before, and I was like super stoked to meet them and like get fucking like, you know, just watch them shred. And I sat at the side of the stage in Leipzig in Germany just watching the whole set, and they just go so hard, like the bassist like swinging his bass, instead of doing a bass slide with his hand, he would throw it onto his amp and then use the amp to slide down the strings and then like mosh out again, and I was just like, yeah, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like,
oh yeah,
so good. And they were like, and we were all about, you know, like the in-ears and like playing to the click, and every other band, you know, they've got their in-ears, like their monitor mix is all good, got Kempers and all that, like everything like real, like the high-tech modern gear. And they're going up like, you know, guitar pedals past that, drummer going like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I was just like, right, okay. And then standing right beside that and feeling the band, and then the monitors and all that, and like hearing like that's as crisp and real as it gets. So fucking good, man. So fucking good. They don't make a lot of them like that, and like Knuckle Puck are one of those bands. When you watch them, you're just like, it's music that makes you want to be in a band. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think that's what it is. A lot of these kind of bands, like, they're liked a lot by people who are in bands because it's like it's so emotional.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
Everybody who's in a band, they're like these super emotional people, like expressing themselves, but they don't know how to express their feelings through like words, so they sing it to you, you know. And then it resonates with all those people. So the ones who are extra emotional, they tend to be people who also write music and like create and all that, and then they all come together in that way. I think that we're definitely in that bracket.
I would agree 100%. You know, I felt like this. I already like I said earlier, when I was listening to some of the Happydaze songs, I could already feel it. Like I could feel. Usually, I can tell if a song is good if I start to like, you know, get some like, you know, goosebumps. You know, and I felt that as soon as I turned on Cool Blue, I was like, ooh, all right. You know, like I'm feeling it. I'm vibing. You know, that was kind of like my initial like, okay, I like this. This is you know, it's hitting all the right,
that,
like, you know,
I
all
really
of the right
appreciate
thoughts.
it, dude.
And
really
so,
appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, Luke. You know, I feel like we're longtime friends, even though we just met. You know,
totally, man. It's been great. It's been great to chat to you about all this stuff. It's great. Like starting it off by like picking up the Woes record, I was just right, cool. It's like as soon as you just that's right, cool. You get it.
I get it.
We're just gonna chat shit for an hour.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and I love your comment on Knuckle Puck, because I did see. I mean, I've seen them multiple times, but more recently I saw them out with they were with 4 Years Strong doing Enemy of the World in full, and I got to watch them backstage. And I could totally agree with you, because like they're a band that I've seen multiple times. I'm like, yeah, they're great. But it was cool seeing them from backstage and then watching them just like, again, like you said, watching the drummer do the click, like watching the energy of them like being on stage, and it just kind of like you could feel it in your chest. Like there was something about it that just like, I love their albums. I pretty much have all of their records on vinyl, and I'm like, man, I love these songs. I listened to 2020 a ton of times, but seeing them live and doing some of the newer stuff and some of the older songs, and I was just like, there's just a different energy about it, and seeing them live versus like okay, yeah, I could put the record on and that's awesome. Same with the Woes record. Like I could put that on and be like, yeah, I love this. And obviously I'm not going to be able to see Woes live, but like I still can kind of, you know, fabricate this sort of like live persona that you guys have. And then very similarly to Knuckle Puck, I can also kind of like get an idea of what it is, but then actually seeing like Knuckle Puck live and seeing them play some of the newer songs, I was just like, man, I have just that much more appreciation for like the new album, because it just hits.
Knuckle Puck were like, they were on another fucking level.
Oh yeah, they're great. Like, I love them.
They're on another level to a lot of bands. There's not a lot of bands who can go up and do that kind of shit. Like it's more than just like the singer being a really good singer, the drummer ripping it, like the guitarist shredding and like jumping about the place and that, and the bassist fucking doing bass slides with his amp. Like it's when everybody does it, and then like it's all together, and those moments are there, and then on top of that, not only are they really good, because it's like a band like Peripheries like that. You watch that, but you don't feel the same kind of shit. You know what I mean? You're not emotionally moved in that same kind of way. You don't feel that feeling. Like you might be emotionally moved in the sense of where you're like, I'm gonna go in the pit swinging my arms. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and that's fine, but that's not what I listen to music for anymore. And like I really appreciate like the groove and all that as a band like Periphery, but I want to listen to stuff that makes you feel like, you know, like just makes you feel something other than that. You know, like
the emotions.
I still love listening to it every now and again. You know, like chucking on an old Architects record or something like that I used to like spin every single day. You know, now I'll chuck it on maybe once every couple of months for that, and I'm like, yeah, that's great. But like, yeah, there's not a lot of bands that can really like make you feel like that, and when you find them, they're always really important to you.
Oh yeah.
And,
oh yeah.
Even though we'd only done like, you know, we've only released an EP and like 5 songs, and then we've just released Cool Boy at the end of the year. We got our first like proper year of Spotify data, of the Spotify Wrapped, and it's like, you know, it's the entire reason that we do it, obviously, like everybody else, so that you can just get your Spotify data and then like wait another year for the data drop. And like the fact that we were in so many people's like top 5-10 artists, I was just like, that's fucking wild.
Yeah. That's amazing.
It was like, and I mean, like, you know, like we've not been a band for that long a time, and like we've only got fucking 10 songs. But 250 people listen to them, like more than like anybody else. And I was like, that's fucking wild. Like that's crazy. And, like we get messages of people, and like they say all these things about the songs. Like it's so sick. It's so sick. And it's like, I hope that we can continue to do that, and the stuff that we do, because it's like it's cathartic for me to write them.
Oh yeah.
Even though I don't even realize it at the time. It's like it's only when like they finally come out, And when someone like at Thriller is like, what's the song about? I'm like, fuck, I don't want to tell you. You know?
I just write, man. That's it. You know, like
yeah, just leave me alone.
No, but I feel like it's cool. You guys will definitely be on my Spotify list, certainly. And if this ages very poorly, I'm gonna be very upset with myself. In later 2023. But
release the dubstep album, man. That's what it's all coming towards.
I'd still listen to it. I'd still be on it. But I feel like getting back to your point, Luke, about like finding that connection, like I think that's why I think this music and the bands that I interview is so important to me, because I know that you're dedicated to doing this. Like, you want to do it. This is something that you are passionate about, just like I am very passionate about interviewing other people and helping promote and share my love of this, the band that I'm interviewing right now. And so for me, this was twofold a special thing, because obviously we've talked about it a lot, but like I genuinely loved Woes a lot, and I still do. And then now I'm gonna try to harness all of that love and put it into Happydaze now, because
dude, I love that, man. I was thinking that when you brought it up, it was just like, before I was coming on the call, like, obviously it's like, what time is it now where I'm at? Like, it's 25 to 2 in the morning.
Let's go.
And that's cool. Like, and like, this is an experience that's like, this is like, not a lot of people get to do this. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people who are like, they're sitting and like, regardless of where we're at, like both of us being able to just like chat out and like, like you're doing what you want to do. You're talking about music. You're talking about that stuff. I get to talk about my music in a way where I really don't often get to, because it's like nobody wants to sit and really listen to me talk about this for 2 hours unless they want to. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to sit and force it upon people. And like, even when we're sitting in like the practice room, you know what I mean? Like, we'll talk about something that we need to talk about for 15 minutes, and then before we're on to something else, and like, oh, watch this video on YouTube, man, it's hilarious. Or like, like, it's just this sort of stuff. Like, oh, look at this video I saw, and like, yeah, it's we do it because we love it. We do it because we enjoy it, and we're getting something out of it. And I when you held up that record, I was just like, it still comes full circle. Things going on years ago, it's like it comes back to you, and then you have that experience, and then we get to sit and just like chat stuff. And like, we will be keeping in touch now. This was a great conversation.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, we're obviously going to keep on talking about like music and all that sort of stuff. We'll be sending stuff back and forth, and it's great. These are the relationships that you get to do just from doing this, from creating or like being passionate about it and being involved in it. And like, so many people would have asked me, I want to be in a band. How do I be in a band? How do I go on tour? What should I do? How can I do it? And I always say, don't be in a band. Fuck being in a band. Be somebody that a band needs to pay, because you're never going to make a living off of it. And if you want to make a living and that's what you want to do, like the bands aren't making any money, but see, they're photographers and they're tour managers.
I ain't making shit, so don't throw me into this. I don't make shit doing this.
But that's what I'm saying. It's just like, there's so much of it that you can do, but like all those guys, you meet those guys, the ones that are getting paid and all that, they're having a great time on tour. Like, you go up to them and just like, how's it going? And just like, I've not slept, and
it's a rough.
Months, yeah, it's rough. It's rough. It's a different kind of sacrifice. You know what I mean? So it's like, anybody who's in this world is doing it because they love it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
You have to be in it, and you can tell people who don't love it, and like, sometimes I wonder, like, do I love it? And then like, I catch myself doing something like this, after 25 minutes, just like talking about it completely as a reason. I was like, yeah, I think I do enjoy doing this. Like,
I'll keep doing the band thing.
Like, I'm down here recording music and like doing it all, and it's like, it's great. It's funny.
It is a wild thing.
Life just sometimes gets in the way of that, and you're just like, you need to. I definitely need to check myself of how like the opportunities that we get are like, we're so lucky. I saw this statistic where apparently more than 50% of the people who have released music on Spotify, which is like, the people who are releasing music want to do it as a career, more than 50% of them have less than 50 monthly listeners. So if you're releasing music and you have more than 50 monthly listeners, that means you have more than half the people who like release music in like, let's say, the past 10 years, like, just to be like safe. So like, you're doing well at any point, and like look at that as the statistic to keep on driving and just do it, and like do it because you love it. And if you're not enjoying it, then like don't punish yourself, you know. If you're not enjoying writing like metal beats and not going anywhere, then like write some pop punk, and vice versa, you know.
Just do. I feel like the point that people ask me very similarly. They're like, oh, well, how'd you get into like interviewing bands and stuff? And I'm just like, I just woke up one day and was like, I feel like I need to interview bands. You know, I was like, I love talking about music, and it's been such a strong hold in my life on like helping me through like shit in my life, you know, whether it be personal stuff or just if I had a shitty day at work, it's like I could put a song on and just zone out.
It changes everything,
and it changes my perspective. And so for me, it's like I also realized that just as much as like you need a photographer, just as much as you need a marketing person, just as much as you need like a label, whatever, like I find that if at the end of the day, if somebody watches this interview and it's just like, I didn't know jack nothing about Happydaze, but like Brandon is so fucking hyped about this band, I think I should go check them out. They go check them out, and then they're like, yo, this band's fucking awesome. Like, how did I not listen to this band before? I've done it. Like, that to me is like one of the coolest things, you know? And I think and honestly, like, to me it's cool because as well, like, it helps the band out. And I think that that's like what my ultimate goal is.
I can't thank you enough for like, you know, like taking your time out and like out of all the bands that you could potentially decide, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna have a conversation with them. Like, I'm glad that we could do this, because like, as I'm saying, we don't get to do this sort of stuff very often.
Oh yeah.
It's like you can sit and you can answer a lot of questions, and it's not like, you know, like, if, you know, what color would you be if you were a color? You know, like, it's not like that sort of stuff, you know what I mean? It's not like a joke, like, what do you prefer, like sausages or bacon? You know, like, it's not like that. Like, we're talking about what we're in,
the real shit.
We're talking about the music. We're talking about what we enjoy and why we do it, and that's what we're about. That's what we're about. And I've really enjoyed speaking to you. It's been great. It's been really, really good.
Thank you. Well, guys, listen. If this is any perfect, you know, important topic to talk about, is go check out Happydaze. Links in the description if that wasn't clearly evident to you already. Listen, go spend it all. It's all good stuff. I also just found out recently they have a merch store, so you already know I'm gonna be copping the CD as well as a shirt probably. So I'll get it for my birthday. You know, it'll be my birthday present to me. But the next question I have for you, Luke, is my personal favorite. As much as I am a music nerd, I'm also a nerd at heart as well. But if you could be a video game character, who would you be?
It's easy, bro. Crash Bandicoot. Come on.
I love that. That was right out the gate.
I say this is I literally just went and bought the remastered one for the PS4 the other day.
Oh shit! Nice.
I was playing it so much before coming down here. Yeah. So that's what's on my brain. And I'm not gonna lie, it's been ages since I've been sitting. I've not really been a gamer for like I've never been a gamer. And like one of my best bros, he brought me his PS4 the other week. He's like, I bought a PS5 and like I could sell this for 150 quid, or we could game together. And I was just like, you're a legend.
Let's go. Yeah. Shout out.
I went down to there's a second-hand like game shop down at the bottom of the big street I live in Edinburgh. And I took like a wee wander down, and I'd seen it there the other day. I actually asked my dad for it. We went for like a coffee and a wander about, and we went into the shop. And I was like, can I get this for my birthday next week? He was like, nah. And I was just like, what? And he was just like, if you want Crash Bandicoot, you get yourself Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, damn.
So 2 days later, I went and got myself Crash Bandicoot. I was just like, you know what? I'm not waiting. I'm going to go get it.
I'm going to do it. Yeah. Respect.
It's so much harder than I remember it being, man. My God. Like, it's got like all 3 games in it. And I never really played one that much. I was a Cortex Strikes Back.
Number 2. I got you.
That was my vibe. And then, yeah, fucking go on it, and like it's like the 6th level or something, or the 7th level. Like I've done the first island, go on to the next one, and I spent like 3 hours on this level. I kept on dying like right towards the end. Literally see the end in sight, and it's because like I'm a sucker for it. I need to get the gem, and you need to get all the boxes. I'm not going to go along and not get the boxes.
You're
in the
completion.
First one, that's the aim of the game. There's no crystals in the first one. It's all about them. So yeah, would never have imagined that I would have spoken so passionately about that question.
I love it. You know, you're really speaking to my heart, which is again video games as a whole. So I love that. That's great. That's a great answer. You know, I never owned a PlayStation. I have mentioned this story. So like, two of my good buddies in like middle school and like high school, my one buddy bought like all of the PlayStation systems, and then my other buddy bought the Xbox and the Xbox 360 and all that sort of stuff. And I'm a Nintendo guy, so I bought all the Nintendo stuff, and we would all like swap at each other's house. So we never missed out on a good game because one of us was like, okay, so what are we buying? What are we buying? Okay, you're buying this. Okay, sick. That's a great game. Okay, are you buying Crash Bandicoot? Okay, great. Love that. Are we buying Halo? Okay, great. Buy Halo, do it up, and then we just play it, and it's great. So I feel that.
We were talking about on Sunday night while we were driving down here. We were talking about how there was a big Blockbuster in Edinburgh where you would go rent games, and both Pete and I, our drummer, we both rented Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith and like played it in the day, and then took it back the next again day. What a game for the PlayStation 2! Yeah, great stuff.
That's a great game.
The PS1 and 2, they done it right, and like. Obviously now, like if you try and play it on a game like on a new TV, like you can't fucking see it. It's like 10 pixels. But like they really did do it right. They really did do it right.
They knew what's up.
The Lego games in that as well, man. They're crazy. Like the Avengers ones, it's like I can't believe it's like not. Like, I don't think enough people know that you can literally just be Iron Man and just like fly about, and like you can be Spider-Man and just cut about, and you're made of Lego. Like if that's not fucking a good way to spend your time, I really don't know what. I really don't know what is. Like that's great stuff.
I love it. Yeah,
like,
that
game. Just wander about and it's like
you just like a lick your figurine. Yeah, I got you. Those are some great games. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I'm all about those. And then they add in like little funny like little jokes and shit. It's great. You know, who doesn't love that?
The best part about those games is, and this is the thing that's been fucking me off about Crash Bandicoot, is that you can't die in the Lego games. You just lose your coins. And like, you know, fuck the coins. You know what I mean? You can get more coins, but like, if I'm right at the end of a level and I'm like, right, I'm getting this, but this jump's really, really awkward, and you do it, and you're on like 0 lives, and you're like, right, okay, give it everything I've got, and then you hear that, whoa, and you're just like, oh fuck you, and like, I remember the feeling of gamer rage, and I think that's why I don't game. Like I was at that 3-hour point on that level, and like I was just like, and I've got a projector instead of like a TV. So I was like, and I was like ready to throw it at the wall. And I was just like, no.
No.
And I've now reached my point of where like, this is when we stop gaming. And I put it down and I went and made dinner. I was like,
that's how you know. You're just like, I'm done. I can't look at this controller. I gotta leave it. I got you. Yeah, I feel that. That's definitely gamer rage if I've ever seen it.
Absolutely.
So love that answer. Big salutes to Crash Bandicoot. Next question I have for you, Luke, is if you were to compile a dream tour lineup, including Happydaze, who would you love to go out and tour with?
I can't answer this question seriously at this time of night, so I would just say Metallica, because I mean, come on, it'd be ridiculous. Like Metallica, Slipknot, and don't even know. I don't even think like tour. I think it would be hilarious if somehow we could get on Eurovision, or at least just like be part of the journey to get there. Like a good mate of mine is like, he's the guy. He's Sam Ryder's tour manager.
What?
And every now and again, I'll just see these like pictures and that, and it's just like crazy. I was like, holy shit, that's Kaz. I put up a brilliant one of where he was like, I saw the video on TikTok of Sam Ryder like singing to someone in a crowd, and it's like everyone's around them and so emotional. I was like, oh my god, there's Kaz in the background. And then like a week later, Kaz posted a picture on Facebook, and it was a video of that, but he had the camera on selfie mode the whole time, so it's just like him like looking at the camera, and I was just like, that's so fucking good. But yeah, like he was like posted like when he was winning and stuff like that, and I was just like, that's fucking wild. They've apparently known each other for years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That would be sick.
Me the last date of the last ever Woz show that we played was in Eindhoven in Holland, and Kaz was there, and I was like so dead. I was just like, I was having an existential crisis, and he pulled me out of it.
That's
Big
great.
shout out to Kaz Bowles, absolute legend. He used to play in a band called Here Lies a Warning, super fucking metal from Dunfermline, the Kingdom of Fife. Go listen to them.
Let's go. I love it. I love it. Well, I will end this off because I obviously do not want to keep Luke up any longer. Big salutes to Luke for coming on.
Dude, it's been dope. I don't even care. I recorded all my vocals today. I feel very lucky in the studio tomorrow. I'm having a nap on the couch.
There we go. Well, Luke, my last question is, and I feel like you kind of answered it a little bit, but I love asking this question. Obviously, as you know, I'm very passionate about interviewing bands, getting to talk with my favorite up-and-coming bands, and hopefully yours. You know, if you like this video, go check out Happydaze, of course. But why do you make music? Why is this something that's important to you? Why is it something you're passionate about? Like you said, you could be doing anything else, but you choose to be a musician and you choose to make music. So why is that important to you?
The cringy answer would definitely be, you know, it's all I know, it's all I've done, but it's not all I know and all I've done. It's the thing that gives me like the most, like nothing else gives me that feeling. Nothing else gives me that feeling of annoyance as well, you know, when it's not there and it's not happening and it's not getting there. But that is it, you know, it's like it's the chase for something. There's a feeling there that, like, you know what it is that you want. You can't really describe it. You know why you're doing it. You know why you're spending all your time going about, like, you know, taking months away from work, from the people that you love, the people that you want to be spending time with, like reaching a certain point in your life where it's like you're now making decisions that are going to impact, like massively impact the future of your life. And it's like, you know, this is what you want to do, it's what you want to do. And that is why it is because it's what you want to do. It's worth going and having those experiences. Like, I love when, you know, like I played shows. I was with the Knucklepuck guys as well with Can't Swim.
Oh, and, nice, yeah.
And those guys, you know, like, just on a level with them, really, really good dudes, because like we're all the same people. We're all people who write songs, we're going out, and we're just trying to do this thing. So when you get on a level with people like that, and you just get to spend some time with them, you can really, really resonate with them. And that was, you know, 2018, and like the guys were in Edinburgh after doing like a few shows last summer. And like we hung out and like, you know, like messaged me ahead of time, like, I'm going to be here on this day. It'd be great to see each other. And it's like, you know, these aren't people that you're going to message every single day. But it's just like, yeah, man, 100%. I'm going to take you to every single place. I'm going to give you the biggest Edinburgh experience. And then I'll see you in another 2 years.
Oh,
you know,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Like, and it's like, and this as well, you know, like we're sitting like, I'm like, I wonder what this is going to be like tonight. You know, like you're going into a new conversation with someone. And then within 10 seconds, just like, yeah, there's my album. You know what I mean? Like, you've already connected on that, and like we're already on a level with that, and that's fucking sick. That right there, dude, is why we do it. That's why we do it.
And you know what, I think to me, like, I also have to thank you a lot, because like to me, anytime I get to interview a band that has had like a significant impact on my life, like that's always such a cool thing. And I was obviously glad that you were a part of Woes. Also, Loathe is great too. They also have an
Wish
impact.
I was in them.
That would be sick. But I mean, like, you had such an impact with Woes in my life, and the way that, you know, you guys had created that. And I was very, like, you know, as I mentioned before, I was upset that like Woes had kind of disbanded and disparted. But I think it also, you know, this brightened my day too, because I was like, man, Happydaze, I didn't know all this sort of stuff, and now I know, like, that you're still doing it, you're still kicking it, and like you're still making music that you're passionate about, and it clearly shows. And not only, I would also say this interview, but I would say in the songs as well. Like, I absolutely loved every single single that's out now. All the songs that you guys have released, like 100%, 110% on board. Like, this is something that if I could show, like, obviously I am showing people this, but like I'm glad that I'm able to show people this, because to me, just such a fantastic band. And I hope that,
thank you,
I hope people take my opinions, as small as they may seem in the pond of opinions. I hope they take my opinion and actually listen to this band, because they're fucking great, and you should go give them some love and some listens, certainly. But that's the perfect segue, Luke. Tell them where they can find Happydaze at, what you guys have coming up in the next couple months.
You can find Happydaze. The hardest thing about finding Happydaze is spelling the band name. Happydaze. One word, just to make it even more confusing. Because, believe it or not, the week that we were releasing our first song, a guy from Canada released his first album under the name Happydaze with 2 words. So we were like, you know what? Fuck it. We're not changing the name. We're going to go for 1 word. And that's how the band name came about. There's a good closing story for you. So, yeah. And like, I'm not throwing any shade at all here, right? I just want to like, let's just have like a little look-see at
okay. Respect.
What's going on here. That geezer has. Here he is. I thought he deleted it by now.
You bullied him off the internet.
He has a fair few. He has a fair few listens on his first few songs, because maybe people are like, this isn't the band that I saw, or this isn't that band.
Wow, they sound really different.
I'm not bitter about that anymore, but there was like a 2-day period where I was just like, this guy.
I can't believe it. Yeah, this guy.
Yeah. And it's not like, it wasn't like they were like, yeah, this is my dream. This is like, that's definitely something. Just like, oh, I wrote an album and I put it on Spotify. And like we said, they have 29 monthly listeners.
29. We got to crush that.
Less than the 50 I said. They're in the majority there. They're in the majority. That's crazy.
That's not the Happydaze to listen to. This is the Happydaze.
That's the Happydaze I know. So that is the best bit of advice that I can give people to get friends. And follow us on TikTok to keep our record label happy, even though we don't really post very TikTok friendly content. We're trying our best. We are older than all right,
well,
teenagers.
Now I'll give you guys a follow while we're here.
Legend. And yeah, you know, any suggestions on how to use the internet as a band actually properly? If you want anything from the band, you can message us directly on Instagram. We don't have, you know, any money or anything to give you, but we can, you know, if you want to just like chat, we're usually pretty game. You know, if you want to, like, not about anything, you know, like, let's keep it relevant to the music. I don't know where I'm going with this. Just listen to the tunes. That's what we're about. Come and see us if we're playing at a show nearby you. And yeah.
Is it Happydaze band?
Happydaze UK. That is our handle.
UK.
That was something that I also left out. Happydaze UK on all of the social media.
Yeah. All right. Look, guys.
We're wanting to look into.
I can't. Yeah, I can't. But I am following, so it is followed now. Yeah. So no one can comment and say I didn't follow it. You know. I just want to say.
True, but like the one thing that I will say is that like, man is saying that he's followed us, but I ain't got no notifications.
What does that say? That says follow, my friend.
It's photoshopped.
It's photoshopped. My man is calling me out right now. I don't like that.
I love it.
I don't like that.
Right. Now we're just having banter.
I love it. I love it. Well, guys, listen. If you made it and you watched this entire interview, God bless you. You're awesome. I love you.
Yeah. God bless you. You have the patience of a saint.
You're amazing. And, you know, you might as well, while you're here, check out Happydaze. 1 word. It's easy. If not, check the links in the description. It'll be even easier because I'll make sure all the links are down below. Make sure to give them a follow. Make sure to go give them some love. Genuinely, this is no cap. You know, I want people to tell me anything otherwise. But this shit is so good. And if this band doesn't blow up this year, I'm going to be disappointed in my fan base, which I'm never disappointed. So don't disappoint me. I think you guys can do it. This band, let's jank these like Spotify numbers up. Make sure to go give them a follow on TikTok. I know I should probably post more on TikTok. If you want to see more of that, let me know. I probably will wind up doing that eventually. I'm just a boomer and I don't know how to use it. So
you're a millennial, dog.
Okay. Not any better.
What are we? Are we like GX? I don't know.
We're millennials. I'm a millennial, I think. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, guys.
Yeah, that's not important.
That is not important, but you know what is important? Happydaze. Go check them out. They're fucking sick. I love this band, and I'm so glad that this band came on the channel because I absolutely love it. And huge thanks to
It's
Tabitha
been an absolute pleasure.
at Thriller. She's awesome too. Big salutes to her. If you enjoyed this interview, share it, like it, subscribe. It goes a long way. It'll also be out on audio format, so if you do sit in traffic, it's the perfect time to listen to it, you know. But I will say, you know, I don't want to shill for the YouTube video, but I'm just saying, you know, I think objectively, two hot people in a YouTube video, you know, I just want to say, two good looking guys here. So if you want to watch the video, that'd be very sick. So go go check it out. Please go check out Happydaze, and huge thanks to Luke for coming on tonight.
Thank you, dude. It's been an absolute pleasure. Looking forward to speaking to you again at some point. We need to do it.